How we doing, everybody? UFC Thoughts here, and today I'm going to be going over my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC 294, Makhachev vs. Volkanovski 2 on October 21st, 2023. Let's get right into it with the first fight of 13. We start in the middleweight division with Sharabutdin Magomedov making his debut against Bruno Silva. Let's start with Shara. His last fight was a win against Kishul Vyas in December of 2022. Nice combos on the feet, mixing Muay Thai with a little bit of Sambo. Shara started his career in Muay Thai, and he sort of drifted towards MMA after a robbery in his last ever kickboxing or Muay Thai fight. I forget what it was. He has good ground game, though. Whenever it does get to the ground, Shara is able to hang. Shara has devastating power on the feet, mostly with his beautiful kicks. His lead head kick is the thing I have highlighted, as it is something that he throws quite often. Wild spinning attacks with a wild wheel kick that he likes to throw sometimes. Some bad parts about Shara is, of course, his bad vision in his right eye after a detached retina. He sometimes gets pressured against the cage, and his defense does leave some holes, mostly due to his right hand. Let's go to Bruno. His last fight was a loss against Brendan Allen in June of 2023. Power is something I like to bring about Bruno. 20 KOs of his 23 wins. Holy shit. Good boxing combos. He likes to apply pressure. He's not bad on the ground. Some bad things about Bruno, though. He's a bit slower, and his chin is starting to get cracked. Bruno's never been knocked out in his MMA career, but he's been recently knocked down a shit ton. Gerald Mearshart dropped him. Brendan Allen dropped him. I'm surprised Alex Pereira didn't get to drop him. His sub defense sucks. Of his 9 losses, 7 of them come by submission, which is, not good. I'm going to pick Sharabutdin Magomedov by second round TKO, and I'm saying it's going to be a lead head kick. Sharabutdin, he throws his lead leg in the air quite quick, and I think he's going to be clipping Bruno with it all night. His jab's going to be on point. Bruno's not going to be able to compete with Sharabutdin. The Cyclops is going to win his debut. We move to the women's strawweight division with Victoria Dudikova versus Jin Yun Fry. Let's start with Victoria. Last fight was a win against Estela Nunes in July of 2023 when that weird elbow or arm injury. Great takedown attempts. The takedown attempt she did in that Estela Nunes fight was fucking insane. It was like a single leg into a roll. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Jiu-Jitsu ace, her submissions are very good. Brutal control, we saw that in her DWCS fight and some of her earlier fights. Stand-up isn't great, to be honest. She's quite slow on the feet and leaves a ton of holes, but her ground game makes up for it. Let's go to Jin Yun Fry. Her last fight was a loss against Elise Reed in June of 2023. She's nice on the feet, slick combos when she gets them going, nice 1s and 2s. She does well in the clinch, but does leave some holes. We saw that in the Polyana Viana fight when she got knocked out in 40 seconds. This fight is very interesting because Jin Yun Fry has such an experience advantage, and also she's not that bad on the ground. That being said, I'm going to pick Victoria Dudikova by unanimous decision. I don't think Victoria is going to be able to find the finish on Jin Yun Fry. I think Jin Yun Fry is well versed enough on the ground to avoid submissions, but I feel like she will get controlled to a 30-27. We move to the featherweight division with Nathaniel Wood versus Muhammad Naimov. Let's start with Nathaniel. Last fight was a win against Andre Fili in July of 2023. Goddamn, that was a banger. Good and slick combos on the feet, powerful hands for a featherweight. Nathaniel Wood has some dynamite in his fists, and he's very quick. He lands heavy, short hooks on the inside. He pressures a shit ton, and he mixes in the takedown. We saw that in the Charles Jourdain fight. Good control on the ground. He can get chinned, though. We just saw that in the Andre Fili fight. Let's go to Muhammad. Last fight was a win against Jamie Malarkey in June of 2023, where he floored him in the second round. Good leg kicks from Muhammad. Good footwork as well. He moves around quite a bit. He sets his feet and throws, and he's got fucking dynamite fists. Good takedown defense for the most part. Decent counters. He throws some hooks. That's counters. We saw that in the Jamie Malarkey fight where he just set his feet and threw a counter. He can get controlled in the clinch, and he gets pressured quite easily, which is kind of what Nathaniel Wood does anyways. I'm going to call upset. I think Muhammad Naimov is going to get a first-round KO. I think Nathaniel is going to do his standard pressure and rush style, and I think Muhammad is going to land a big right bomb. Andre Fili was slick enough to land something crazy to drop Nathaniel. I think Muhammad Naimov is going to crack that chin of Nathaniel Wood. We move to lightweight with Mike Breeden versus Anshul Jabli. Let's start with Mike. His last fight was a loss against Terrence McKinney in August of 2023. Good takedown attempts, decent kicks, nice feints, and some good hooks. He starts very slow, though, and gets pressured, and he has terrible takedown defense. Let's go to Anshul. His last fight was a win against Jeka Sadagi in February of 2023 in that Road to UFC card. Very big for a lightweight, 6 foot. Nice jab and straights, nice boxing combos, takedown attempts, great control and ground and pound. His overall skill set is fucking beautiful. Leaves some submission openings though, like leg locks in his neck. He also might not have the best gas tank either, but that doesn't really matter when you're fighting Mike Breeden. I'm going to pick Anshul Jabli by first round submission. We move back up to middleweight with Abu Azaitar versus Cedric Dumas. Let's start with Abu. His last fight was a loss against Marc-Andre Barrial in 2021. Somewhat decent combos. He's a bit wild. Good work in the clinch with knees. We saw that in the Marc-Andre Barrial fight. Good front kicks and leg kicks. He likes to use his legs a lot, whether it's rushing in or just throwing them. Abu has had super long layoffs with only 2 fights in 5 years, and prior to that 5 years, he had a 2-year layoff between 2016 and 2018, and then 3 years. Holy shit, dude. Fucking fight. He also leaves a lot of openings, just like his brother, and his gas tank isn't too great. Let's go to Cedric West. His last fight was a win against Cody Brundage in June of 2023. Good control and ground and pound. Good submission offense. Tons of feints. He loves to wave his arms around like he's going to throw something. Great leg kicks. Good takedown defense now. In his fight with Josh Fremd, it was dog shit, but now it's actually pretty good. He knows how to sprawl. He has been seen to struggle with takedowns before, though, so Abu might be stronger than Cody Brundage. I mean, it's not that hard. He also does leave his neck open at certain points. I'm going to pick Cedric Dumas by unanimous decision, 29-28. Abu might win the first round, but other than that, Cedric by just complete total domination. I feel like he's going to be better on the feet, better in the ground exchanges. I just think he's going to be an overall better fighter. We move to bantamweight with Javid Basharat versus Victor Henry. Let's start with Javid. His last fight was a win against Mateus Mendoza in January of 2023. Accurate and good timing with strikes. We saw that in the Mateus fight where he just was throwing step-in knees that were timed perfectly. It was nuts. Very quick, good footwork and good straight punches. Whatever stance he's in, that straight backhand is going to be great. Elbows in the clinch and on the break. He throws good elbows in the clinch, and whenever they're breaking, he just kind of zings it out there. Good get-ups off the ground and takedown defense. Ground and pound is scary. He's got good cardio. The only knock I have is he leaves some openings, and his neck is open whenever he goes for single legs. Let's go to Victor. Last fight was a win against Tony Gravely in March of 2023. Calm and composed is what Victor Henry lives by. Good push front kick, good body kicks in general, rushing combos and good takedown defense, decent footwork, good defensive clinch strikes. Whenever he's against the cage, he throws a bunch. Good counters as well, mostly hooks. Whenever his opponent's throwing something, he usually just throws a hook out there to try and disturb them. Not really anything to knock on Victor other than maybe some cardio issues and getting controlled easier as the fight goes on. This fight is going to be a banger, and I'm going to pick Javid Basharat by unanimous decision. Javid, I think, has only gotten a finish on the Contender Series. He hasn't gotten a finish yet in the UFC, I believe. His brother Farid has. Javid is more of a demolisher than a finisher. I think Javid is going to do better in the striking exchanges for the most part. He might get clipped here and there, but he's going to win using his jab and his straights. And when he gets to the ground, oh boy, it's over. We move back to lightweight with Muhammad Yaha versus Trevor Peek. Let's start with Muhammad. Last fight was a win against Sohail Tahari in February of 2023. Nice feints. His straight right's pretty good. He's got good power. He struggles in the clinch, though, and his gas tank isn't too great. Let's go to Trevor. Last fight was a loss against Chepe Mariscal in June of 2023. Wild and violent. Jaw chiseled by Michelangelo. Hammer fist while standing. He is a fucking hell of a man. Too wild, though. Leaves many openings, and he struggles on the ground heavily. Muhammad might be good on the ground, but Trevor Peek throws hammer fist while standing. Trevor Peek by first round KO. Muhammad leaves a shit ton of openings. He's also pretty slow. Trevor Peek is going to get a knockout, and if he does, then I'm going to cry myself to sleep. We move to flyweight with Tim Elliott versus Muhammad Mukayev. Let's start with Tim. His last fight was a win against Victor Altamirano in June of 2023. He's a fucking veteran, very unorthodox stand-up with lunging attacks that lead him to be able to shoot takedowns. Good submission offense and control and ground and pound. Very well-rounded. Has motivation. He's getting older and he's getting a bit slower as the fight goes on. It is what it is. Let's go to Muhammad. Last fight was a win against Jafel Filo in March of 2023. Hell of a grappler with an unorthodox stand-up as well. Throws a bunch of specialty stuff like flying knees and shit. Tears people apart in the clinch and soul-crushing presence on the ground. A big issue is he's young and dumb and leaves a shit ton of submission openings on the ground. I think Muhammad Mokaev is going to win by unanimous decision. This fight is going to be a banger, and I think it's going to be a lot closer than the scorecard's going to read, but I do think Muhammad's going to 30-27 Tim Elliott. We move to the main card and start at bantamweight with Said Nurmagomedov versus Muin Gofurov. Let's start with Said. His last fight was a loss to Jonathan Martinez in March of 2023. Super well endowed on the feet, throws a ton of spinning back fists, but his natural boxing and kickboxing is actually pretty good. Body and leg kicks are fucking impressive, can grapple if he needs to. I mean, look at his last name. Submission offense is good. Slows down like most Dagestanis do, but for the first 2 rounds, he's very impressive. Let's go to Muin. Last fight was a loss to John Castaneda in June 2023. Explosive kicks and right overhands. Specialty kicks like spinning wheel kicks and spinning body kicks. Good combinations against the fence. I mean, at one point, he just pinned John against the fence and just started teeing off. Good clinch work added onto that. Leaves major openings and leans into some strikes, and he struggles off his back. I'm going to pick Said Nurmagomedov by second round TKO. We go back to middleweight with Ikram Aliskerov versus Warley Alves. Let's start with Ikram. Last fight was a win against Phil Hawes in April of 2023. Great fight IQ Ikram has with a nice stand-up with power. Throws nice kicks and knees in the clinch. Slick 1s and 2s. Great sambo and submission offense. But he can get clipped by a lot of right hands. We saw that in the Phil Hawes fight. It's a problem he has with his defense. His left hand just naturally sits lower, so he's allowed to get clipped by right hands, which Warley Alves throws a shit ton of. Let's go to Warley. Last fight was a loss against Nicholas Dalby in January of 2023. Very quick early on with rushing strikes, quick combinations, nice kicks to the body, and a lovely ground game with submissions, mostly guillotines. Does leave openings on the feet. This is also a short notice fight, and he can get controlled in the clinch. Warley Alves is famous for submitting Colby Covington. I'm going to pick Ikram Aliskerov by first round TKO. I think Warley, like I said, is going to rush in, and Ikram is going to hit him with a signature 1-2, as it's his best combination he knows. And it's going to put Warley down like a sack of potatoes. We go up to light heavyweight with honestly the most slept-on fight of the entire card, Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. Let's start with Magomed. Last fight was a draw against Jan Blachowicz in December of 2022. Underrated combos on the feet with 1s and 2s, mixing in his hooks. We saw that in the Ayan Kutelaba fight. Also throws overhands and has good cardio. Crushing grappling with disgusting control, as I'd call it. Suffers from leg kicks, though, and he can get clipped, and he starts a little slow. We saw that in the Jan Blachowicz fight, where he was obviously down 3 rounds going into the 4th. Let's go to Johnny. Last fight was a win against Anthony Smith in May. Big is the word I'd use to describe Johnny Walker. Rangy striking with wild inputs of flying knees. His elbows in general, mostly his clinch elbows and knees, are fucking nuts. Good pressure with feints. Lands in weird places. What I mean by this, he lands in like the weirdest places. Like in the Ryan Spann fight, the elbows he landed were fucking so weird. Also, the Paul Craig fight where he threw a back fist and it basically knocked Paul Craig out. That was pretty cool. Possible career resurgence as of late. Struggles with wrestling, which is a key thing. I don't care. I'm picking Johnny Walker by second round KO. I want him to knock out Magomed Ankalaev so bad. I don't know what it is. Magomed is one of the only Dagestani guys that I just honestly cannot stand. He is somewhat fun, but not as fun as the other Dagestani guys, and I love Johnny Walker. I think Magomed is going to go for a takedown. Johnny is going to defend it and land one of the weirdest things that we've ever seen in the sport. Either that, or he's going to get turned into a wacky inflatable arm flaming 2 men again. Oh my fucking god, this is a real fight. Kamaru Usman, Khamzat Chimaev at middleweight. Let's start with Kamaru. Last fight was a loss against Leon Edwards in March of 2023. Stand-up improves every time. His jab is beautiful. His power right hand behind it is even more beautiful. Grinding mindset in the clinch flows into his takedowns against the fence. Takedown defense is about as good as it gets. It is as good as it gets. As of recent, meaning his last fight, Kamaru looked awkward. He looked like he couldn't really get it going against Leon, as he lost damn near every round, and his knees are cooked. And that video of him saying that it popped doesn't help. I know people are like, that's not what he said. I'm almost certain that's what he said. You guys know who my profile picture is. You know who I want to win. But let's go to Khamzat. Last fight was a win against Kevin Holland in September of 2022. Stinging combos on the feet. His shovel uppercut is something of weirdness. Straights and jabs are crisp. His grappling is on a whole nother level. Chain wrestling mixed with sambo is a criminal find in my eyes. He's fast and strong. He leaves major openings on the feet, though. His gas tank is in question, and ring rust is a possibility. I want Kamaru Usman to win this fight so bad. I want Kamaru to shut Khamzat up. I'm a good fan of Khamzat as well, but Kamaru is my favorite modern fighter today. I'm going to have to pick Khamzat by third-round submission, though. Leon got Kamaru in a pretty bad position, and I know that Leon and Khamzat are totally different fighters, and he got a trip in a clinch. Khamzat's wrestling is about as good as it gets, and Kamaru's takedown defense is good, but his knees are so chalked now. And I know they've always been chalked, but they're about as bad as it gets right now. It would brighten my day so much to see Kamaru win this fight, and this is the first time that I'm actually going to pick against Kamaru Usman. Whoever you pick in this fight, we win as fans anyways. Here's the big one. Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski Dose. Let's start with Islam. Last fight was a win against Alexander Volkanovski in February of 2023. Underrated striking in the earlier rounds. Love the timing on Islam's strikes with his counter hooks. In the first fight with Alexander Volkanovski would kind of rush in and throw a right hand, and Islam would be right there to check him with a left hook. It was fucking gorgeous. Wrestling is about as good as it gets at lightweight. I mean, you can't really deny that. He's strong as fuck. I do worry about his gas tank this time around. Islam is a very well-rounded fighter. He features a lot of striking prowess and grappling prowess, so, he's pretty, good. Let's go to Volkanovski. His last fight was a win against Yair Rodriguez in July of 2023. The most well-rounded fighter of the modern era, in my honest opinion. Volkanovski is a legit problem everywhere. Striking is crisp, mostly due to his IQ in the octagon. Volkanovski has some of the best ring IQ I think we've seen in a while. Quick with his straights and feints. Volkanovski is good because he feints so damn much. He's always feinting. He's always giving people looks. It's so fucking good and so nice to watch. His footwork and his feints work beautifully with each other. His wrestling and takedown defense is also pretty good. Not gonna lie, we saw that in the Yair Rodriguez fight and the first Islam fight. The only problem with Volk is he's too small, and he's taking it on short notice. So I'm going to have to pick Islam Makhachev for the second time in a row by unanimous decision 49-46. I think Volkanovski taking it on short notice. People are like, he's in better shape this time around. I don't think so. He had more abs for the first fight. People are like, he looks bigger. He looks damn near exactly the same arms-wise. This fight, it's going to be close again. There's not going to be controversy this time around. Islam is going to beat Volkanovski this time around. There's no controversy this time around. When Islam gets Volkanovski to the ground, he's not going to get up. I think Islam's going to land some harder strikes than Volkanovski as well on the feet. I think Islam's going to show levels this time around. I'm UFC Thoughts, and these have been my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC 294, Makhachev vs. Volkanovski 2 on October 21st, 2023. My confident picks reside with Sharabutin Magomedov, Anshul Jabli, and Ikram Alaskarov. My pre-card rating is a 9 out of 10. This card is fucking bonkers. I hope the fights are as good as advertised. I'll see you guys after the fights. Peace.